Salt Lake can redecorate after I leave if they want, but hopefully they'll remember they're my paintings. Okay, next, I have done this. Those of you that have been in Old Town and how many times I'm sure that Brad and Dancel have been out on tours, when you would see people coming through with Old Town Trolley stickers on their shirts, or Whaley House stickers. So one of my senior missionaries said to me, why don't we have a sticker? Kids love stickers. And so this one, I did get permission. And they said, we've never thought of that. And the historic sites people said, well, why don't we give it a try? And so we tried it. And in just, I guess you'd say, in the last year and a half, we have distributed about 50,000 stickers to kids. And you now can see I found gold at the San Diego Mormon Battalion historic site all over Old Town San Diego. Unfortunately, they sometimes end up on the ground and I go around and pick them up. But that is an exposure to the Mormon Battalion historic site. And so on the right there is the QR code that will take you directly to Family Search and the Mormon Battalion files. And unfortunately, you have to be in Family Search for this to fully work. We've done Relative Finder and all of that. But we're working with the church historic sites and family history people to be able to have it so that when you go in, you don't have to go to the kiosk and look things up. You can just do a QR code and it will take you to that, and you will be able to see your ancestors and the biographies of the ancestors. And hopefully the next step that the Family Search people are working on is that you don't even have to do the QR code. As you walk into the exhibit hall or out into the courtyard, it will ping you and let you know that you have relatives in the Mormon Battalion historic site. So that's one of the things that we're working on, that and I have had experiences that I never dreamed. Sister Top and I did not think we had any Mormon Battalion ancestors, and they're not direct, they're like 10th cousins. I am glad to claim Lot Smith, I'm glad to claim some of those Levi Hancock that are distantly related, because they've now become real to me. And so I have had experiences with people that are not even members of the church discovering that they have Mormon Battalion ancestors. And that makes it real as we talk to them. Did you know? Now, one of the challenges, it's been really, really interesting that our sisters from Mexico that have come in have had a hard time saying, I'm going to talk about Mormon Battalion being called up to go to war against Mexico. What am I going to say? And we have had some really cool experiences with how the young sisters have been able to bring it real and then talk about that next part of the story that you're all familiar with, and that is what the contributions were to the Californios, the Mexicans, the Native Americans in 1847. That leaves me, Brad and Dancel and Greg and many of the others of you know Fred Grant, the president of the Chamber of Commerce. Fred has said over and over again to us, and I know he said to President Sister Allen and directors before that, but the service that our sisters render, he says, the Mormon Battalion has come back to Old Town San Diego. So number one, making it real people, real sacrifices, real contributions, and our sisters are real missionaries. Now the service that they render in the community is recognized by the community as this is an extension of that Mormon Battalion contribution. One of our major emphases has been, how can we help the people of Old Town know that the Mormon Battalion has indeed come back. And there are many service projects the Allens were involved in as well. But there's a new one that the sisters have done that I think is a classic. And that is the Safe and Clean Committee of the Chamber of Commerce has approached me about having our sisters with artistic ability and just good old grunt work ability, how we would feel about using them to paint the ugly old utility boxes that are on the streets in Old Town San Diego. This is the one directly across, the bull one is directly across the street from the Mormon Battalion historic site on the corner with Heritage Park. Is that a beautiful bull that is about ready to meet its maker at the hands of Lafayette Frost? And then the red bricks that we have there. And so right now there are, and then if you look down in the right-hand corner of the grass on that, you will see that all of them are signed by Mobat sisters. And so you will see the Mobat sister insignia on these. There are multiple throughout Old Town that we are going to have as an ongoing service project to make more beautiful in Old Town. With all of the service that goes on, Fred Grand there on the right with that great, beautiful mustache. Fred, this is at the Chamber of Commerce meeting that is held at the Mormon Battalion Historic Site. Twice each year, Fred has given special recognition and honors to our sisters for the community service that they render. And it has been a wonderful thing, and the Chamber of Commerce gave our sisters standing ovations because of the work that they do. Now, Sister Top and I, we say that maybe without the modern Mormon Battalion, the Mormon Battalion Historic Site Sisters, I'm not sure Old Town could really function. It is such a major contribution of what our missionaries and our sisters are able to do. And it makes such a huge difference. One of the first things that we did when we came was we were able to work with a Kumeyaay school working in a garden. And I went back and looked at the journal entries and what those original Mormon Battalion members, the interactions that they had with the Kumeyaay Indians. And Fred Grand is a direct descendant of the Spaniards, the Kumeyaay, the Americans, and then I've told him he is honorary Mormon. So he's covered all the periods in that regard. Just two special events. There are numerous special events. But this year was a special event that we had at the Mormon Battalion Historic Site because, as you know, many of you know, that the San Diego Temple has been closed for renovation for upwards of 3 years. And so the wonderful man, Kenny, that has done the lighting at the San Diego Temple for who knows how many years, I talked with him and I said, what are you going to do with all of those lights? And he said, nothing. Would you like to use them? I said, yes. And so it was like a Christmas Vacation with Chevy Chase. Front and back, incredible lighting while the temple was closed. And then with Los Posados, we combined with the San Diego Mission and had a special Christmas concert and live nativity behind the Mobat. Over 400 people came and went through into the Mormon Battalion Historic Site because in my conniving way, that's where the hot chocolate and the cookies were. And so as they came through, saw the live nativity and had Christmas music, and on the screen we had church Christmas videos playing in a loop. Hundreds of people were exposed to the Mormon Battalion Historic Site. On the right-hand side, and I don't know, I'm sure the Allens did this too, but on Day of the Dead, during that period of time, I had my Mexican Spanish-speaking sisters design and work with Sister Top, and they created their own Day of the Dead Ofrende, and it was listed in the Chamber of Commerce ofrendes in Old Town San Diego that you could go and visit all throughout the town. And you see there we honored the women of the battalion and the symbolism. Wendy, maybe you could share a little bit of the three levels of an ofrende.
Rather than putting skeletons and some of those things, we put, as you can see, there's a picture that we have.
Yeah, I know that. I'm well aware.
Yeah, of the San Diego Temple, and then we tried to create levels, and Christ at the top in the second return is there. And just below him, there's instead of sugar schools, we have a sugar family, sugar spirit family, and so we put some books of Mormon on each side, and family history pamphlets, and so we kind of turned it into a temple lesson or degrees of glory.
Without proselyting, it was our offering, if you will,
yes,
on the Day of the Dead.
Yes, and the things they would have loved. So family and the
Temple.
Mormon, and we put Spanish and English, and yeah. So I don't know.
People from the community would come in because it was listed on the Chamber of Commerce list of Old Town Ofrendes, and so we've done that both years, and again broke the rules a little bit, but it was a wonderful evening to kind of reward our sisters for the work that they did during Day of the Dead and all of that they worked with the California Living History people. What's the name of the Disney video on Day of the Dead?
Coco.
We had a Coco night after we closed and watched Coco, and I thought if that's the worst they can do, we've done all right. So, all right, last thing, and then Sister Top can wrap it up. The third theme that we want to share with you, if I don't get emotional, but and I'm already emotional, but we have a daughter that has left the church, and so we have 3 grandchildren by the name of Kaufman. And if you have watched in the church news, or if you know anything, those 3 Kaufman grandkids that we have a grandfather by the name of Stan Kaufman, who will be replacing us as the Mormon Battalion Historic Site President. Stan and Shirley Kaufman, we share these 3 grandchildren. Their son and our daughter have since divorced, but those 3 grandkids came to visit us at the Mormon Battalion Historic Site and had a blast. In fact, our daughter said to us, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but she loved the Mormon Battalion Historic Site. She said, if church, when I was going to church, if it was like the Mormon Battalion Historic Site, I may still be in the church. And then our little 9-year-old grandson said to me, he said, Grandpa, there is a special feeling at the Mormon Battalion Historic Site. And that is the theme that we wanted to have. And I just want to share these 2 pictures to you. And then Sister Top can close. This little guy, I guess he kind of represents our grandson, but this little boy, as you can see, not very old, panning for gold out there. And his family had just gotten off a Disney cruise and were coming to the Mormon Battalion before they left to go get at the airport to go home to Utah or wherever they were going. We could not get him away, and Mom and Dad could not get him to go. And they said, and they said, his brother and sister down there going. And finally, this boy said to me, and I had him do it again, and I got it on video. He said, "This is more fun than a Disney cruise." And I thought, that is the advertising campaign for the Mormon Battalion Historic Site. The picture on the right is of a non-Latter-day Saint family from Florida that knew nothing about the Mormon Battalion Historic Site, or probably much about Mormons, if I can use that term, until one of our Mormon Battalion Historic Site sisters that served with President and Sister Allen and served with President and Sister Top, Sister Kofod, went to Florida and met a family that they were teaching. And when they said, oh, we're going to go on a vacation to San Diego, Sister Kofod said, you need to go to the Mormon Battalion Historic Site. And they came. It was the highlight of their trip. Now, I don't know whether they've joined the church, but because of that missionary, that real missionary at the Mormon Battalion Historic Site, they now know something extra special about the Mormon Battalion. And just wanted you to have that. And then with that special feeling, I'll close with Sister Top.
All right, so I thought I would talk about some of the spiritual dimensions of the Mormon Battalion Historic Site, and